Okay, it's 1 o'clock, my time. I don't know what time it is for you guys, but this is on time. The one thing about being an efficiency and productivity person is you always have to start on time. Thank you. Thank you, Marie. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation so we can end on time and you guys can get back to your day and get back to implementing this amazing system that I'm going to show you, some of the strategies and tactics that I'm going to show you here. Okay, so oops, already doing the wrong thing. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, everyone. Welcome how to perfectly organize all of your digital files so you can always find what you're looking for. I want you to make sure that you have this workbook here. If you got it, make sure that you know where it is on your computer or if you printed it out, because it's important that you have it in order to get the most out of this workshop today, and so that you can implement your new system moving forward. So you're going to need it. And if you don't have it, scroll all the way up to the top of the chat on the right-hand side of the screen. I'm sorry, scroll all the way up. It's basically right below the description on the Crowdcast page. And there's the link to where you can download it. It should be right there. And I'm going to jump right in. Before I do, I want to make sure that you have the best learning experience possible. So I want you to stay with me all the way until the end. And not because there's so much awesome stuff coming your way, because there definitely is, but I also want to show you how you can get your hands on your free gifts. If you stay to the end, I'll show you how to get these awesome goodies. These are pulled right from my course. They're great action lists and cheat sheets and checklists to help you be able to navigate your computer much more quickly and efficiently and take your Mac skills to the next level. Okay? Awesome. Now, before we get started, I just want to say, don't multitask during this workshop, please. You're here because you want to be more organized and productive. Like, seriously, people, if you're multitasking, this is a productivity workshop. It's like eating a donut at the gym. So do yourself a favor and stay with me. Now, I guarantee that while you're here, something's going to pop up and try to distract you. But don't give in. Be strong. So close everything else down and turn it off. Okay? I promise you that I will be here and focused, and I hope that you do too. Okay, cool. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You may be thinking that your situation is so bad that it can't be fixed. That's a common fear. You might have a thought like, I'm simply not an organized person. I've never been. Even if you show me exactly what to do, I probably won't do it. Or you may be thinking that all the knowledge in the world really isn't going to help because you simply don't have enough time or energy to focus on getting organized right now. And that's a legitimate worry. We only have so much time. So did any of those ring true for you? Why did you come here today? I really want you to tell me in the comments who you are so I can serve you better. What's kept you from taking action in the past? What keeps you from staying organized and being on top of it? What particular thing brought you here today? I'd love to know why so I can better help you. But today is the day that we are going to make progress. Because, well, that's all that we can ever do. Remember that practice makes progress, not perfect. So especially with organization, it can sometimes be overwhelming because even when you get organized, as soon as new stuff starts coming in, you have to organize that. It's easy to spend a lot of time and still feel like you're not perfectly organized. And it really is an ongoing practice and thing that you need to do. So all we're doing is practicing some really strategic and strategies that make sense for us. So that's what we're going to do here. So again, today we're practicing a few things that we can do to be more organized and productive. I love this little cartoon here. Dude, sucking at something is the first step to being sort of good at something. I love it because it's very true. Okay, so here's what we're going to learn. Okay, scratch that, practice to get together today. We're going to learn and practice one simple trick to keep your desktop clutter-free. This is an awesome trick and you're going to love it. How to name your files and folders so you can find anything instantly with only 2 keystrokes, and I'm very serious with that, and it's very possible. You can do it too. A file and folder organizational system that will perfectly organize all of your stuff, and most importantly, keep it organized. And also some Mac Ninja skills that make navigating your stuff a heck of a lot easier. So we're going to kick off 2016 right by tidying up our computer and getting our digital life in order. All right, I'm ready and I'm excited. But first, I want to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about me. I know that a lot of people here do know me in some way, but I want to hop in my time machine really quick and tell you how I got to where I am today. So from January 2007 to January 2015, I built a very successful career helping brands like these use social media to connect with their customers. And during that time, I also built a strong personal brand. I was a fully digital girl, immersed in a digital world, and I was crushing it. I was featured in Vanity Fair. I've been featured in Huffington Post and Forbes several times. I was given an award by my college from which I graduated with mediocre grades and a degree which I've never used. And to this day, I'm still considered a social media expert and influencer in the world of social media and digital media. But in late 2013, this seemingly happy girl, that's me, and on top of it, had a very real mental meltdown. And it was a digital mental meltdown. And it was a long time coming. I'm going to tell you how it all went down. And I think you'll relate, not to my specific story, but to the general situation that I found myself in and that we definitely find ourselves in still these days. In 2011, I was living in New York City with a cushy job as VP of Marketing at Manila, a startup incubated and financed solely by the Hearst Corporation. And if you're not familiar with the Hearst Corporation, this is the Hearst Tower in New York City, where I went to work every day. Not too shabby, huh? Well, let me show you inside. First, you walk into the lobby. It's the lobby. And you wave to the security guy. They're really nice. Hi, security guys. Head up the escalator. Yep, it's surrounded by a giant waterfall. Pass by the lounge on your way to the elevators, which were insane, by the way. They were the most technologically advanced elevators I've ever seen, been in, and have seen since then. They were so smart and they were so fast. They could get you from the 2nd floor to the 60th floor within a matter of seconds. My ears would pop every single time. And they were super popular with the fashionistas because they had great lighting and floor-to-ceiling mirrors inside of them. And this was not my office, but this was the view that I remember. And it's ironic that with a view like this, I felt completely trapped. When I wasn't chained to my desk or stuck in long meetings, I was on my way in between the two. I cried every Sunday because I didn't want to go to work on Monday. And although I had worked so hard to get to where I was, deep down, I knew that I had to get out. I felt alone. I felt like a piece of a corporate puzzle that just didn't quite fit. And so I left, a big decision. And instead of finding another 9-to-5 job, I wanted to attempt to make it on my own. I was self-employed and working beside my also self-employed boyfriend, Clay, in our 1-bedroom New York City apartment in Hell's Kitchen. And when I say working beside Clay, I really mean working beside Clay. This is where I spent most of my day and evening, tied to my computer, sitting in my apartment, trying to get clients, trying to get work, doing the work for those clients, and making it on my own. But at some point, I cracked. I couldn't open my computer. It stressed me out beyond my ability to cope. Every time I opened up my MacBook, I felt as though I was being crushed under the weight of everything that I had to manage. The most common tasks, like checking email and searching for files, just felt unbearable. And rationally, I knew that this was ridiculous. But I swear, as soon as I flipped over my computer, my brain stopped working. My focus was fried. I couldn't pay attention to anything for more than a few minutes. I couldn't prioritize or set goals or make decisions if I was in front of my computer. If I was staring at my computer, my mind just seemed to stop working the way that I wanted it to and the way that I needed it to. I didn't know how to make sense of why I was struggling so badly and why I couldn't get past it. So I wanted to understand better. So I started learning about the brain. And if there's any neuroscience and brain science people in the audience, I'll give you a little virtual high five because it's awesome. If you really want to take even your business or your life to the next level, learning about the brain really really is just, I can't say enough how amazing it is and how much it can change your life. We know so much more than we've ever known in the past, and all of the research that's coming out is just fascinating into how we work. And so since then, I've read hundreds of scientific studies, read dozens of books about the brain. I've tried and tested all the top productivity systems, read all the latest books on productivity in the brain, and I started to test everything I was learning on myself, right? We're our own little guinea pigs. So I've been creating, testing, and evolving new, better ways of working ever since then. And since I am a digital girl, what I've realized is, what I began to uncover and really understand is that technology is not the problem, we are. We allow it to take over because it serves as an extension of us, as an extension of our mind, and we desperately need it to help us handle everything. You know, when you think about a physical map, or now it's on our phone with Google Maps, but before, when you used to be in the car and you have to open up a map, that map exists so that we don't have to remember the route, memorize the route, and take up precious neurological space, right? So we create the map to say, okay, here it is. All you need to do is reference this every time you go out and you don't know where you're going, and this will tell you how to go, so you don't have to memorize it and you remember it in order not to get lost. And our computers are that in huge ways, right? So we have to handle this unprecedented amount of information and keep track of a ton of small little things, and we only be able to do so if we have these pieces of technology. But yet we treat it like a big disorganized drawer that everyone has in their kitchen, you know, the junk drawer. These computing machines that we have are just large and glorious and fantastically disorganized kitchen junk drawers full of photos, tax documents, games, articles to read, to-do lists, books, screensavers of cats wearing party hats, music, contacts, emails, calendars, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. But the real problem is that we don't realize that our brain doesn't separate our real world from our digital world, right? So it doesn't see or experience those two things differently. So all the things in your digital world, vacation photos, Google chats, emails, video conferencing, all of those are experienced the same way that our face-to-face conversations are, that bumping into an old friend is, that window shopping at the mall is. And this may sound weird to you because you know the difference between something that's real and something that's digital. I know because I'm looking inside my computer. But beneath the surface of our conscious awareness, in the more primitive part of our mind, there's no difference. To illustrate this point, I want you to think about a time when you were on vacation and having the time of your life. Maybe, do you have a mental image? Maybe it's, you're laughing with your friends, you're watching a beautiful sunset, you're on a jet ski flying across the water. Just imagine that moment for a second. Where are you? What are you doing? What does it smell like? How do you feel? Now that's not real right now. You're not experiencing that in reality, but your mind sure is. Another great example is pictures and photographs. How is it that we can look at a flat piece of paper with a motionless picture on it and start to feel happy or sad or feel like we were there even if we weren't? Even if the picture is of someone else. Our mind doesn't see reality the way that we think it does. It interprets and responds to our environment, whether that environment is digital or physical. And that's why digital chaos creates mental chaos in exactly the same way that physical chaos, the real world clutter and noise and disorganization does. Our real world environment has an impact on our mind. And that's why tidying up the house and the stuff on our desk makes a big difference. So when your desktop is cluttered in files and your downloads folder is full, your mind sees it as real stuff. So that's why an influx of new emails, an impossible to-do list, and a stack of important files that need to be managed can trigger thoughts and feelings like, there is so much to do. Why is all this not done yet? There's important stuff that I'm missing. Oh man, I forgot about that. I am so behind. I am never gonna be able to catch up. You might be able to tell that I feel that way sometimes. So before I started to learn about how to deal with it all, the most I could hope for every day was getting through the things I had to do without hating every minute of it. That was an amazing day. Now my relationship with my technology and the work I create is collaborative and fun, and that's because I've totally transformed the way that I think about my technology. And since that major shift, I've not only been able to do so much more than ever before, I'm happier, less stressed, and at peace with what I'm able to accomplish in a given day. And so now I teach other people how they can do the same thing. I've helped hundreds of people master the technology and transform the way they work, and I love it. And I'm really excited to share some of that excitement and knowledge with you right now today. Cool. Where's that picture? Why isn't it up? I like this. I love the idea of eating your brain like spaghetti. I think it's marvelous. Okay, so it's time to get into the meat, the juicy stuff. So where do we start? We start by learning the secret of file naming, and there is a secret. Well, actually, it's more like a special trick, but it's powerful. But it's a powerful one because when you understand it and use it properly, you'll always be able to find what you're looking for quickly and easily, even if you can't remember where you put it, and that's a key. And if you really embrace it, you'll never look for or search or look at your files the same way again. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you the trick. But I want you to understand where it came from and why it works. So organization is out. First, we have to wrap our heads around that. You know, my argument in Google and Apple's and many other tech giants is the search function is so good now that it shouldn't matter where you save something because you can always find it via searching relevant keywords, right? This makes sense. Why should we worry about where something is saved if we can quickly find it if we just search for it? Now, the problem, of course, becomes is that it's not always so easy to find what we're looking for. You know, we don't know the right keywords to find it, or we don't remember, or the words we are thinking, you know, reaches or brings up too many irrelevant results. So in order to fix this problem, we have to think about it in order to find whatever we want quickly and easily. It's all in the name. So right now, we name things things are just, it's haphazard. We just want to download and save whatever it is we need from the internet or save whatever we're working on as quickly as possible so we can be done with it and move on. But if we want to always be able to find what we're looking for easily and quickly, it's a surprisingly simple solution. All we have to do is add a keyword to all of our file names. Not the same keyword, of course, but we'll get into that. So I want you to think of it like triage. It comes from the French word meaning to sort, to sift, or to classify. It's basically what emergency room, nurses call that kind of active sorting and classifying, the things that are coming in. It's the approach we're going to take when we're saving all of our files. Because when we spend a few seconds up front to sort, sift, and classify our files before hitting save, they're much easier to find, again, even if we don't know where we save them. So I'm going to show you what it looks like, how I use it. Any and every document, image, PDF, whatever that I've created that's related to this workshop in my course that I call Digital Sanity starts with the acronym DS. Now, it doesn't matter if it's an image for this presentation, a stock photo for my sales page, a video file for the course, a text file I saved years ago with merely, brainstorming ideas about this topic. It all starts with DS. So there's that two-letter classification, DS, that I include in every single file name saved to my computer that is related in any way to this workshop or my course. And this is what it looks like in my Finder. As you can see, every file is prefixed with DS. What adding DS to every file does is when I'm looking for a file related to the overarching subject of digital sanity, whether it's a file I've created and saved recently or something I saved years ago or just a year ago, I can always find it by searching DS. I never have to dig around to find any file related to this project. All I have to do is type in 2 letters into Spotlight or into my Finder search box, and those 2 letters are DS. I'm never searching, for deep of, folders. All I have to do is search DS in my Spotlight or in my Finder. At the core of our brain's filing system is its ability to recognize similar items and put it into categories. That's why this works so well. We navigate the world and the things around us by uniting them. Food, animal, tools. So we place them into these coherent categories in order to give them meaning. And we treat these things as being part of a kind so that we don't have to waste valuable mental energy on details that are irrelevant for our purposes. It's energy efficient for us to just categorize things. So we identify and name a category, and then our brain creates this representation of that category and separates all the objects that fall inside from the ones that fall outside. And that's why this matters. So categorizing our real world, for example, we can name dozens of trees, but we just say grass. But there are 9,000 different types of grass. But that serves our purposes, right? We don't need to know the 9,000 different types of grass. Similar case to the term bug. Most people use to encompass ants, beetles, flies, spiders. They are biologically quite distinct, but we group them together. And unless you're a bug scientist, this promotes this cognitive economy, right? The less mental energy that we need to use in order to be able to identify and find things and figure things out and how they relate to a world. We have to think about them in great detail. So it's not the biology of them, but the function in our lives. So this is what we're going to do with our digital world, because our computers store information, but they're not organized in a way that our mind can draw connections and make sense of it all. So it's going to require some fine-grained categorization by us. So we shift this burden of organizing from our brains to the external world by simply doing a better job at categorizing and labeling everything as it comes in. So this is where we're going to get into the system and you're going to learn all about it. So you are going to need your workbook. This is where, if you haven't downloaded it, the workbook, you can get it right now by, again, scroll all the way to the top on the left-hand side. You'll see the link to the workbook, and you should be able to download it right from Google Drive. Okay, so your naming schema. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out the best way to think about naming my files as they came in, right? And what I came up with was there are 2 questions to ask when naming a file. This works the best when you're thinking about, okay, I just downloaded. So for example, you just downloaded this Digital Sanity Workshop workbook, right? And I named it, that makes sense to me, but it probably doesn't make sense to you to find it later. You're not gonna remember that I named it DS or that it has workshop or naming schema in the file name, right? So you download this workbook, and what I want you to look at it and think, is this a file related to a project of yours? Or if not, what word would you use to categorize it? Okay, so for you, it's probably not a project. For me, it is. It's a big project that I'm working on. For you, it's just a resource or a guide or a tool that you can use in order to help you name files. So you probably downloaded it, you're looking at it now. You're probably going to want it open looking at it later because you can edit it and write in it. You might want to print it out. And so when you save it, you want to think, okay, so what word can I use to categorize it? And so you want to think, what term can group this together with other like files on your computer? So examples of keywords are, for this one, we're looking at a category name, and you might want to call it, learn or resource or research or notes or workbook. And so when you look at your computer, how many other things do you have that are also related to that category? For example, I am obsessed with graphics. I love graphics and images. Like, for example, this little diamond thing in the upper left-hand corner. I probably have like 50 diamond images on my computer because I love little diamond images. I don't know why, I just do. And I name those assets. So they all start with the word asset. Because to me, those are an asset that I might use in my presentations, within the course, but then that's different from a logo, right? So I created logos for this course. I have a logo for my WorkX business, and all logo files have the word logo right in the beginning of the file name. So if I'm searching for a logo that I've created that I need to upload to Twitter or wherever it might be, all I have to do is search logo. I don't have to search WorkX or anything, I just have to search logo. And for main projects, just coming up with a very simple, short 2-letter or 3-letter acronym is the best way to do it. Because we tend to, if I wrote out Digital Sanity as one word, I'd have to remember, did I put a space in between it or not? Did I put a dash? Did I put an underscore? And then also it creates a really long file name, which, as you probably know, is a pain when you're looking for things, when you're trying to read the file name and you have to, right-click on it or try to figure it out because, or expand the column in order to see the whole file name. So we want to keep it short. So we're coming up with very short project keywords. So what I want you to do over the course of the day, or by the weekend or over the weekend, open up your Finder window and go through your current folders and write down as many projects and categories that you see. Because often when you just open it up, you'll be able to to make some connections between different types of things that you have on your computer. Like you might love to download PDFs and resource guides. You might have a ton of them. And so you might want to create a category for that. So you could call it resource or guide, but then you want to use that specific term to prefix all of your file names that way. And I'll show you an easy way to do that. And try not to overthink it. Think of the first word that pops in your mind. Again, this is so that we can easily find stuff later. Often we're too clever with naming our files. We need to think very simply and logically. Okay. So this is my Finder window and how I've organized all of my folders. And as you can see, DS is Digital Sanity, GM is Gmail Mastery, another course of mine, TC is Tool Candy, my newsletter, WH is Work Hacks, my business. Assets are all of those images that I was talking about that I love downloading, you know, all those graphics. Audio are all the audio files that I've created that I've uploaded to SoundCloud or different places. Copy is, you know, just text documents of brainstorming copy in different language that you use on my sales pages and on my website. So as you can see, I've really grouped things very generally in the top level. And so then you can see as you dig deeper, like within design, I have design on Julia Roy, design on lead pages, design on MailChimp, so JR, LP, and C. So as you can see, these are, I see these as projects because I can remember, oh yeah, that's an image that's on Julia Roy. So I know it's in design and I know it's in the JR category, okay? So now what I want you to do is look at your desktop or open up your Finder window. And I want you to see how you can mass rename things to add very simple keywords to your file names, okay? So if you right-click, if you select maybe 4 or 5 items, and you can do so by holding down Command and then clicking on the items individually, or you can, you know, drag your cursor and select, you know, a group of files. And if you right-click, you'll see that you could select rename 6 items. See that? And then a dialog will pop up, and you can add text to before the name, right? This is actually a new feature of Mac that came out in El Capitan or right before, which is awesome because I used to have to use a whole separate app to do this. But you can replace text, add text, or change the format. We're going to add text. And for me, I have a lot of device images because these images on the right-hand side are a picture of a computer. And I have a lot of those because, you know, the courses and stuff that I teach are all about how to take control of your technology, how to use your technology better. So I have a lot of those images, and I call those mock-up images. I use those to mock up images and things that I can use to promote my courses and things that I do. So I have the keyword mock-up. I know that when I'm looking for an image to mock up, to add text over, to do something else with, I call it mock-up. So then I type mock-up into the beginning, and then I hit rename. This is what it looks like blown up. So I can add text before the name, that little drop down before name. You can also add a keyword or text after the name. So it goes from this, oh, excuse me. Okay, so let's look at our desktop. You can view your desktop by using, by opening up your Finder or, you know, going to the actual, you know, physical desktop. And what I want you to do is open up your Finder window and create a desktop folder. Now, you've probably done this before, okay, but this is going to be a little different. And I want you to put it wherever you store, organize all of your files. So for me, it's Dropbox. For you, it might be iCloud or some other cloud storage service. And also, you might use, you know, just the Documents tab or Documents folder on your computer. If you do, you should go to the cloud. But if you use Documents, go there and add a desktop folder. Now, if you put parentheses around the word desktop, I'll just say, this is a little preview for what's coming. You'll be amazed at what happens. So if you put parentheses around the word desktop, when you create that file, something magical will happen. Okay. Now I want you to open a new tab in your Finder window by using the shortcut Command-T. Okay, that's the key to the left of your space bar. Hold that down and then hit the letter T while you have your Finder window active. So your Finder window has to be active. You're like in the forefront, and you hold down Command and then T. Voila. Now you have a tab. A lot of people don't know that the Finder window has tabs. It has tabs just like your Chrome or Safari has tabs. So you can, with Command T, create new tabs and move things back and forth between tabs instead of opening up a whole new window. So all you have to do is select the little tab up at the top to switch from one to the other, okay? So one tab is this new desktop folder that we've created, and the other tab is going to be our desktop, okay? So for example, let's take these images again. Now I created these images and then uploaded them to social. So what I want to do is I want to add DS and then social and right before the file name. So I highlight them and I right click and I type in my keyword that I want to include. Now I'm including 2 keywords because my system's gotten a little bit more advanced and nuanced, but all I want you to do is look at your desktop and pick a group of files that are similar in some way, whether it's because they're all part of the same project or they're all the similar kind of type of asset, right? They're a PDF or they're a resource guide, they're an image, whatever it might be, and then create a category that you can group those together in, whether, again, that's resource or the project name, and then add that keyword before the name. And then I want you to drag those files over to this new desktop folder that we've created. Now, it doesn't really matter where files are organized. The only reason to get them off your desktop is because, like we were talking about, like cleaning up your desk is important. Our desk should not be covered in all the stuff we have to do. It should be kind of out of sight, out of mind, so we can focus on the task at hand. So our desktop covered in files is really bad for our focus and our concentration. But if we take everything that's ever on our desktop and at the end of the day or at the end of the week, whatever it might be, we go through this process of labeling everything and then moving it to a parentheses desktop folder in our Finder, whether that's in Dropbox, wherever it might be, we'll be able to find those photos or those assets or images or documents just by searching the keywords that we named them. And if we come up with very broad, very easy to remember keywords for the things that are important to us, we find it no problem. It doesn't really matter where we put it. Now, you may want to go back every 6 months, every month, and just organize things and put things in, and that's fine. But for the day-to-day, when we're overwhelmed and working on so much stuff, and we don't really have time, nor is it really that useful to heavily organize all of our stuff, we just put it in a, kind of inbox folder. I call it desktop just because that's a word that everyone knows. An inbox folder that we just dump stuff into, but everything in there is named really well, in that everything has a keyword that we can remember to search for if we need to find that file. So we're going to do that until your desktop looks like this. Now, this is my background image, but I want yours to be clean. So as you're looking at your files, group them together. So you're going to control and click on each one, and then right click and rename, and then add keywords to all of your files so that you can search for them later, and then just add them to a general folder. Okay, now that's a very simple way to clean up your desktop in a way that's not just dragging everything and putting it in a folder and saying, okay, desktop 1, desktop 2, desktop 3, right? Because your desktop just gets crazy. We're going to rename everything just by adding a simple keyword. We don't have to, open up every single file and rename it cleverly. We just need to add a keyword so that if we need to find it later, we know exactly what to search in order to find it. Okay. Now, I also wanted to tell you about the next level of what this looks like. And it's an unusual but effective file and folder system that makes everything saved to your computer really easy to navigate. So this first part makes everything easy to find. And this second part makes everything really easy to look at and navigate. As when you saw my Finder window, everything's really well organized. And I'm going to walk you through how I came up with that, and then also how it works, why it works, and how you can use it as well. When I was in the very early stages of creating this system, I quickly realized that the most common and default way my Mac Finder would sort and organize and display my files and folders was alphabetically, right, in descending order. But I wanted them to be organized in a way that was more like the projects I was working on or up top, and then the supporting ones were kind of in the middle, and then all of the like reference files and stuff, and then everything. I wanted it to be organized in a way that made sense based on what I was working on and what was important to me. I wanted current projects up top, actually accessed frequently stuff somewhere in the middle, and then kind of admin archive stuff on the bottom, and then everything else. But in a sequential and alphabetical ordering system, sometimes the most important project folders and files are buried somewhere in the middle based on their name, right? So it's always frustrated me because my important project, like Digital Sanity is right now, it's in the middle. And then also my business name is Work Hacks. Excuse me. I jumped the gun. My business name was Work Hacks, and that always sat on the very, very bottom. And even if I named it, WH for short, Work Hacks is the biggest thing in my life, and it's on the bottom, of my folder list. Does it make any sense? And it's the same case with files. By default, your Finder will order all your files the way they do your folders, by name. I could never find anything. So then you've probably done this. You add numbers and letters in order to, bring stuff up to the top. But that gets to be a mess pretty quickly. You have multiple numbers, multiples of the same number and or of the same letter, and it just kind of becomes haphazard. It's like it just doesn't look good at all, and then it also just loses its value pretty quickly. And then randomly, I can't even remember how it happened. I stumbled across something I found really interesting. When sorted alphabetically, special characters order themselves above every number and every letter. So these are the special characters that I started to play with. And every one of these special characters, if placed in front of a file name, will list itself above everything else. The only thing they compete with is themselves. So this is how these characters list themselves if ordered alphabetically. So underscores first, then hyphen, then parentheses, bracket, curly, asterisk, slash, hashtag, plus. That's how they order themselves. And again, the same thing holds true for files. The file name starts with an underscore. It sorts itself above every other file. And as you saw from a few slides ago, there are a lot of characters to consider. Now, quickly, I chose parentheses, bracket, and backslash for my folders, and underscore, hyphen, and angled bracket for my files. Now, this doesn't really matter much. As we get, in the course, I go through all of the nuances of how you can make this system really complex and really badass. But what I want to show is that they automatically sort themselves this way so that I can put important project files up at top, and then supporting folders in the middle, and then reference files on the bottom. And it really works out so well. So if we take a look at it in action, this is my Digital Sanity project folder. It's where I store every single document, like everything related to this. If you look inside, my top, the things that I'm working on, I was working on when I created this slide, my Module 3 framework for the course. And then also I had the template for all of my workbooks that I was working on, a couple of workbooks, and then all the other things are then ordered in keynotes, worksheets, assets, and then the course outline on the bottom. So this organized it in a way that I allowed to control what I wanted to see up top, and then how my folders organize themselves, because some have parentheses and some have brackets and some have slashes. So just despite what they're named, they're going to order themselves in a way that makes sense to me. And so that I was working on my keynote files and my worksheets the most at that point. And then I had assets and scripts and videos and stuff that were supporting that, but those were the things that I was working on. So those are the things that came up top. And by putting an underscore in front of the file name or document, it listed above everything else, right? By listing a dash, it will come right beneath it. By putting a either a slash or angled bracket, it would put it at the bottom. And again, folders, same way. They group themselves together. Now, what I recommend for you to do is right now, whether you're looking at your desktop or in your Finder, look at your most important projects, folders, and put a parentheses around them. So the things that you're working on right now that are important, because then it will pull that up to the top of the list. And when you're naming files, if it's really important, if it's something that you're working on right now, it's important as an underscore, put an underscore. before the file name, before the first letter of the file name. I like to kind of put it at the beginning and end because it just visually looks consistent to me. And that will pull it up top, all the folders even, and pull it up at the top when listed by name. So it'll pull itself above everything else. And you can get into how you can use sub ones to create more advanced system, but this will work just to get you started right now, so you can start to pull out the things that are most important to you and the things that you're working on, so they don't get buried in the mix like they do now. All right, cool. So I'm going to really quickly wrap it up by showing you how you can find things faster, easier, and more badassly. These are some really badass things. When I learned these things a year ago, I was like, how do most of us not know all of the amazing things that our Macs can do? It's mind-boggling. Let's get started. Okay, if you have no clue what I'm talking about, the Finder is this blue little smiley face icon that's anchored all the way to the left side of your dock. That's a Finder. Now, the first thing I usually recommend people do is to modify their preferences, because it goes a long way in adjusting your Finder to better fit your needs and support the unique way that you work, right? So next, you want to make sure that the open folders and tabs instead of windows option, that's right kind of in the middle of that first tab, is checked. If not, you should check that box. Why? Because tabs are so much easier and incredibly more efficient to work with than opening new windows. Yet in my experience, most people don't even know that the Finder feature has a tab feature. It's mind-boggling. Because tabs, think of it. Think of how you navigate your web browser. Do you open a whole new browser window when you're searching for multiple things? No. Savvy people use tabs, and tabs are not only better for navigating and browsing multiple things in your web browser, but also for your Finder as well. So here's one case. You want to move a file that's sitting on your desktop to a new folder you just created. Excuse me. You open your desktop in a new tab by holding down the Command key, then clicking on the desktop folder. Drag the file into your previous tab, close the desktop tab, and you're done. Right? Let's do it one more time. Open up. Command click opens up a new tab. Drag it to the tab. There you go. It's moved. Didn't have to open up another window. All in the same window. Now your Finder has 4 views. 4 ways to customize how they are displayed. You have your list, icon, group, and cover flow. Icon, list, column, and cover flow. So this is the icon view. Excuse me. I'm getting all weird with some of these are videos and some of these are tabs. So here we go. Okay. This is icon view. This is list view. This is column view. And this is cover flow. Now you may use them for different purposes, but what's amazing is you can use the shortcuts to change how you view. So if you hit Command 1, it'll switch you to icon view. If you hit Command 2, it will change you to list view. Command 3, column view. Command 4, cover flow. So if you're ever looking for things and you want to change the way that the items are listed, and different views have different strengths in terms of being able to find what you're looking for a little bit easier, just Command 1, Command 2, Command 3, Command 4. It's amazing. And so you know what drag and drop means, right? When you select an item or multiple items, you drag them from one place to another using your cursor. That's dragging. If you want to move a file or folder, you simply select it, drag it to a new place, and then let it go, and that's dropping. Okay, so I'm going to show you some of the handy ways that you can use drag and drop to organize your files and folders, so you can start moving things around a lot more quickly. Okay, to keep an item in its original location but quickly put a copy of it in a folder, hold down the Option key, then drag the item to the folder you've just created, or folder. You've created a copy while keeping the other one in place. right? So it doesn't even have copy underneath it, but you have one now in your desktop and one in that folder. So if you hold down the command key while dragging an item, and when you release it, it'll create a copy. Now you can make a copy of an item within the same folder by selecting the item and using the shortcut combination Command D to create a duplicate of that item. So if you want to create a duplicate, just Command D, select it, Command D. And drag and drop can be used for so much more than just files. They have so many different shortcuts that are hidden that you can use. So to start, you can drag any file to an application that can handle it, and your Mac will attempt to open it in that application. So you just drag it and release it on the icon in your dock, and it will open it up using that application. So if you have a PDF file and you want to open it, the Finder, all you do is have to drag it into not the Finder, into Preview. All you do is drag it and then release it onto the Preview icon, and it will open it in that application. Congrats! You are now a Mac Ninja. Well, you're getting there. You're getting there. You're getting to Mac Ninja level. There's still a lot to learn. Okay, so I hope that you got a lot of value out of this presentation, of this workshop. This is a piece of what I teach in my course that I created that took me over a year to create and perfect and get ready for you. I believe it's the most modern training program out there. When you search how to name files, organize files, how to clean up your computer, how to make everything easy to find, it's just the most boring stuff ever. A lot of it is, how to name files from college library websites. And when it comes to kind of cleaning up your Mac, there's not a good place in between, like very nerd-tastic people that are crazy organized and love that stuff, and the very, very boring, here is the tactics, the way that you can do it. And I created this very comprehensive system that sits in the middle for the rest of us that really just want a clean computer that we can open up every day and feel good about. It teaches you the necessary things you need to know to organize and keep track of things. So I give you the tools, how to get rid of and minimize the things that are on your computer. So sort of like file detox, removing that and putting it to an external hard drive, and the step-by-step process that you can take to do that, to make sure that everything that you need is still there and everything that you don't is saved but off your computer. The whole system as to how to really optimize how you organize and name things, because when we look at our Finder, it's important in our files, it's important that things are grouped logically so that we can make the most out of all of this knowledge that we're acquiring, that we're saving, and that we're working with. And then also how to automate that process moving forward. So there are so many tools that, for example, I have set up that if a file sits on my desktop and has the label, DS in the file name, to automatically, after 3 days, put it into a to-file folder within my Digital Sanity folder in my Finder. So that stuff happens automatically now. I don't even have to do so much work because I've set up that automatic process. So if you're interested in the course, you can see everything that's in the course and that's included. I'm not going to go on and on about it at wrk.hk/Digital Sanity course if you're interested. There's 15 hours of screencast, tutorials, complimentary worksheets, guides. It's amazing. And if you sign up, you'll be part of the Slack community where every Thursday from 12 to 2, I'm inside there helping, asking if you ask questions. I'm there to help. I really want to make sure that you get the benefit that I've received from being able to finally take control of all of the stuff that's on your computer. And then as a special bonus, you'll get a 20-minute private strategy session with me. You'll be one of the first, this is only happening for the first 50 people, which you'll be part of. So you'll be given access to my calendar and be able to set that up. And then also, I've just been doing a lot of fun stuff with the people that are in the course already, and I do not plan to stop. This is something I'm very passionate about, and I'm constantly updating the course as Mac updates its options, and as the software does new things, I add to the course, which has been a lot of fun. Now, you stay to the very end, so as promised, if you go to wrk.hk/ds-workshop-freebies, you can download those free gifts that right from the course that you can use to start to perfect your own digital workflow and system. I hope you download those and take advantage. Now I am going to escape out of here and come back and stop sharing my screen. Hey y'all, this is really good because I just noticed that my computer's at 10% and I don't have my charger. Okay, Workshop 101, bring your charger and plug your computer in. Okay, so I'm gonna look at the questions here and see if there's anything. So if I use SugarSync to share a top level, so this is Fran, if I use SugarSync to share a top level folder with someone else who works primarily on PC, the sorting will differ. Yes, it will differ. And I could look up, and perhaps that is a good thing to call out, how those, what characters are consistent between the two. And so if you are a Mac user that shares, because I always felt like folder files can get tricky with the characters, because if you upload it to the internet, like certain characters don't play well. But for folders, I typically thought that most people have a folder, you know, they kind of share folder, they have their own folder, but then they share. Thanks, babe. Charger. So I have to make that distinction. So Fran, I'm going to do some research and reach back out to you. I'm going to figure that out for you. I like it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. I don't see any specific questions. So Chantel, will be replay. There will be a replay. Okay, Fran, the sequential spacing characters, I will send you that file from the course as well. And then Matt asks, I'll reach out directly. I'm correct in assuming that the system and or organization philosophy could be extended for implementation in that same corporate setting. I have a team that would certainly benefit from some fresh ideas, new instruction. Yes, the biggest thing with working with a group is that everyone follows the same rules. So as long as you agree with the same rules, and the course really does walk through, and and I do believe that just some consistent set of standards, like there are a ton of characters and a ton of ways that you can organize your information, just choosing a couple and then sticking with it. And it's the same thing with naming. We all think about that. That's the challenge, is that we all kind of think about things differently. Like I look at something and say, I look at a file and say, oh, that's part of Digital Sanity. You look at that file and say, oh, that's just a resource or guide. And even within the same team, everyone's relationship to work is a little bit different. So we think about them differently, so we name them differently. But if you come up with a common set of keywords, meaning like, okay, so all of this is, all files related to this are categorized this way, then everyone can start naming things in a way that makes sense to them as well as other people. So Matt, I'll look forward to reaching out, or I'll reach out to you. And is there any remaining questions there? Yes, there are so many shortcuts, JC. It's insane. How to copy a file while moving it, Marie, is you just hold down the command key when you're dragging it. So you would select it and then drag it while you're holding down the command. And when you release it, it'll create a duplicate. All right. This has been awesome. I love sharing this with people. I've worked so hard on creating this for myself. At some point, I felt like I have to share it. Otherwise, what was the point? What was it all worth? So my computer just can be organized. Everyone's computer should be organized. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Fran. I'll follow up with an email with some of the links and then just give you an opportunity then to respond. I'll send everyone an individual email. If you have any additional questions, you can ask me via email and I will be prompt in responding. All right, everyone. Thank you and have a wonderful hump day.